Okay, so I'm joined by Luke Kenyon, who is the head of product at homely.com.au. Luke, firstly, thanks a lot for joining us again. I know you did this interview last year.
No, thank you very much. And I cannot believe it's been 2 years. The time has
2 years.
absolutely flown.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. So we'll start with kind of the headline from all of this, which appears to be that real estate portals don't really seem to be adding an awful lot of new features. Not to make you answer for the whole of the industry, but what do you think is going on here?
It's interesting. I mean, yeah, I definitely cannot answer for the rest of the industry, but I can definitely give you some point of views in the Australian market. I mean, in the Australian market, we are quite unique from my understanding, where we're basically governed by a set schema that everyone uses. And so basically all the portals in Australia have the same data set that is basically set nearly 15 years ago. And that data set has not been enhanced for a long, long time. And so we're a little bit bound by what we've been given. And we're also bound by a lot of CRMs and multi-loaders of what they allow agents to add. But that being said, I know that a lot of portals in Australia are now looking at things like AI and other things like that to really enhance the search and the listings, etc. Yeah, so I know for a fact for Homely, we're funny enough as we speak, we've got a hack week, and that hack week is all based about AI. And exactly this is how we can actually look at using AI to enhance our consumer experience. And the search has a big role to play with that. So funny enough, the showcase is tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to see what our devs come up with and what things, as from a product perspective, I can go, click the switch, let's get that live.
Okay, this is all sounding good. I mean, in my job and, the greater kind of property portal watch community, we're always hearing about this kind of really, and it does sound really nice future where search is actually match and, real estate portals have got all these cool AI features. But when I look at the results we've got up here, it sort of seems like that might be quite a long way off. It kind of seems like, back to your point, it seems like maybe the metadata behind all of it needs to be a bit stronger, or portals perhaps just need to pull their finger out and build a few more features in most of the world. Would that be fair to say?
In a way, we all know that a lot of people in the industry are very time poor. And so we know that a lot of CRMs have features such as aircon, pools, balcony, but a lot of times agents are just a little bit time poor to click those boxes. And sometimes it's sort of up to us as the portals to extract that information to display it back to the consumer. And I think that's where things like AI could help out.
Okay. So one thing that I really want to ask, like a real estate portal product manager like yourself, is I saw one specific feature, so the travel time feature, so searching by travel time. It's not really spread that, the spread through the world isn't that great at the moment. But one interesting thing that I saw was in France, in the French market, one of the major real estate portals added it, and then very quickly all of the rest of the major ones added it. So I'm interested, to what extent are real estate portals kind of paying attention to what their rivals are doing, and to what extent they've got this kind of keeping up with the Joneses mentality, where if one gets it, they all have to get it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting point. I mean, obviously, I've been in this industry for close to 8 to 10 years now. And yeah, you do pay a close attention to your rivals and obviously the in-state market. But at the same time, you need to look at your own consumer base. And I know that each consumer base that we have are all very different. Sometimes a feature is worth copying. Sometimes it's not worth copying, because you need to really understand why have they done that. And especially in this day and age, you need to be really careful with copying people's features, because they could be A/B testing it and it could be an absolute flop. So that's why basically I don't copy that. It's hard to copy now. It is really hard. Just because it works for one portal doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work with your user group either. Yeah.
No, fair enough. Handle with a straight bat. So of all the features that we're kind of the main features that we looked at, the map view, scrolling photos, keyword search, all the rest of these, there's one that I, as a real estate portal user who's obviously looked at a lot of these real estate portals, There's one that if it isn't there, it really frustrates me, which is scrolling photos from the results page, right? You obviously must look at a lot of real estate portals. Is there any feature that you kind of almost need in your user experience that you think every real estate portal around the world really needs to have that frustrates you when it's not there?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to sound so simple, but a lot of portals don't do this. And it's basically a quick link from the search experience to the floor plan. So many portals don't do that. They hide it within the listing page. I want it to be right there and there. For me, that is so important. And being in this industry for nearly 8 to 10 years, I know for a fact that consumers want that too. And I have actually implemented that feature wherever I've gone with great success. So anyone listening, that's it. Do that.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with you there. I think floor plans are becoming even more demanded by the consumers, and it was actually a surprise to see that the floor plan filter wasn't more prevalent on portals around the world. I was expecting that. So I mean, it's gone up slightly here, you can see, but I was expecting that to have gone up quite significantly, and it hadn't, which is a bit disappointing.
I think it's amazing too. Once again, I can only speak for the Australian market, but I wouldn't even consider a property unless it has a floor plan. And I dare say majority of our for sale listings have a floor plan because the Australian consumer market just demands it. Rentals, I don't think always have it, but you're right, it's a great feature to have. And since I've seen this report, I've actually put that into my backlog of something to consider now, because I think that is super important for the rental market.
Okay, what is in your backlog? What are the features that you're excited to build at homely.com.au?
Yeah, so once again,
I don't want to give away too many specifics, but all right, we'll change the question. What have you built that you're excited about, maybe?
I'm happy to talk a couple of things. I mean, well, a couple of things we've built in the last 6 to 12 months. A lot of it is behind the house and behind the background that you can't necessarily see. But around 12 months ago, we did a major project to make sure our search was completely 100% accessible for people who are vision impaired. Because what we found in the market, talking to the leading person in Australia, is that no portal did it well. And that really upset us as a portal, going, why housing and accommodation, it should be a basic necessity for everybody. Why doesn't anyone do this well? So we spent a lot of time with this person and made sure that our search filtering and searching capabilities were the best in market. And she actually reviewed it ourselves and actually consulted a lot in that. So that's one thing we did. The other thing we did a lot of work on is price bands. So it's obviously not a sexy thing, but we looked at a lot of the different price bands. And as the market's moving a lot, we actually adjusted that to what consumers wanted. Other things we did was a lot of UI work. We did a lot of research to understand how consumers wanted to actually search. And there's a lot of options in there. And we found that most consumers only looked at 3 or 4 different filters. And we made those 2 or 3 top filters expanded, or the others minimized, to make sure consumers can get to their results as quickly as possible.
Okay, getting back to the issue of accessibility. I remember you told me last time we did this interview that the feature that you really wanted to build for a real estate portal is maybe a filter that says like disable friendly, something like that. To what extent are you really like fully conditioned in your job by the data that's available on the feeds coming from CRMs or coming from agents? And how, I don't know, maybe frustrating can it be that you're not in charge of that data that you're ingesting?
Yeah, good question. So we actually try to do a little prototype about 6 to 12 months ago, where we actually tried to work with a couple of CRMs and a couple of agencies to actually get that data through. And we actually did prototype it with some sort of success. But once again, it's really trying to get the rest of the CRMs on board. I know that a couple of people actually a leading agency tried to campaign that to get a lot of other CRMs to change it. And it was actually quite difficult. But we're not giving up. We're going to keep on pushing. But that's something that we would love to do. But I think this is something where AI could play a great part in this as well. Like simple things is there a step to enter the property? AI could potentially pick that up looking at images. Is it double story? AI could pick up that. So they're the kind of things where technology can play a big role.
Okay. So last question, and leading on from what you just said there, if we do this again in 2 years' time, what do you think we'll see? And maybe what are a couple of features maybe around AI that you think if we do this again, we should be looking for?
I think AI is going to play a huge part in accessibility. And I know I'm sort of, this is the third time we've sort of answered this question, but accessibility is also great for things like SEO and actually searchability from just a normal consumer. I mean, if you're looking at an image and the image doesn't have a description, the person with visibility concerns won't be able to know what actually is in the image. And if you have a voiceover to say, hey, this is a dining room, it's like the open plan living with a fireplace, that's really going to help people with the impairments. Not only that, it's actually good for your SEO because you're actually creating unique content for those images. Another thing is basically features. So actually helping people with the search filtering by calling out, does it have a pool? Does it have a balcony? Does it have aircon? Does it have central heating? And then basically using that to actually help enhance your search filtering. I think that's where we'll be in 2 years' time. Another thing that looking at your report is I'm still shocked with the lack of people doing maps and they're actually utilizing the maps. I mean, we've got data to prove that our maps is one of the highest ways people actually find properties. And I think we're one of the only portals out there in the Australian market that actually the default view has the map, where the other portals will start with their listing content first. So I think that we'll see a change with the way of people searching, especially with Draw a Map. Like we were the first ones in Australia to do Draw a Map and with great success. So I think that's in 2 years' time, we should see a bit of a shift to basically using AI to generate search filtering and help people find their search, but also using maps.
I agree. As someone who, I've probably looked through thousands of these websites now, I completely agree. I hope that we see those things. Luke, thank you very much for talking to us. Sorry you had to come on and defend the whole industry, basically. Yeah, hopefully we see a few of these percentages go up significantly if you and I talk again in 2 years.
Fantastic, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks for talking to me again.